I'm Sean Sheridan, and I'm the author of A Mother's Tale, which was published on the 3rd of September 2022. I was born in Abbey Street, but we had a fire in the house and we ended up in a bit of a hovel in Brook Street because there was no other properties available to families such as ours. And Brook Street is just one long street of absolute poverty and a certain degree of misery as well. But there were so many characters in the street that it was easy to recall both faces and names, and indeed the smile of the gums with no teeth, and so many characters in there that it stuck with me for the rest of my life. In particular, there was one lady who was living next door to us called Hannah Shannon. And she was known as the Brock Lady of Brook Street because she used to push this cart around on pram wheels, old pram wheels, and collect any old leftovers from people's dinners to feed to the pigs. And I would go in and help her with feeding the pigs from time to time. So it was an introduction to another world altogether. The characters there in that part of Uma just stuck with me all my life. So I thought it was a good idea to try and put it into print to bring back memories for those people who actually are from Brook Street or the surrounding areas. Unemployment was probably 80–90%, and hope was non-existent. So the only thing people could do would depend on the likes of St. Vincent de Paul, who would come on a Thursday and give money to those that were hard up, namely virtually everyone. The only sad thing is that the men at the time would sort of grab the money and head off to the nearest pub, which was Gormley's in Castle Street, and buy a cheap drink called Red Biddy and go and get roaring drunk and then start fighting and arguing with everybody. And unfortunately, it was the women and the children who suffered because there was no money for the food. So there was that constant struggle to actually survive. And then we had the overpowering influence of the church. Brook Street is right behind the parochial house where the parish priest lives, and it's this opulent house with splendid grounds looking down on a street with poor people in every house. And particularly most of the houses had half doors. So the women would hang over the doors and gossip to each other like horses out of a stable. So it was quite a memorable sort of thing to see all these people hanging out the half doors every morning to have a chat. They had nothing to chat about other than, they were hungry, there's no food, and who was having the next baby, because babies were never in short supply in that street. Well, there was 7 of us in the family originally. 3 died at birth before I came on the scene, and because they were born with what's called original sin, they weren't baptized. But the other 4 of us, my eldest family member, my sister, she went to the United States and ended up married in California, Southern California, near San Diego. Picked the right spot. And my older brother and myself and my younger brother all ended up in London. I was fortunate enough that my older brother was able to get me into a pub. I was working at a pub for a few years in London. But the only option for young people, teenagers, once they left school, was to actually consider immigration. You either go to London or Liverpool. A lot of them went to Liverpool because obviously the big Irish connection there. And many of them went to New York, and quite a few actually went to Australia. So in fact, when you were growing up, there was no sort of thought about getting a job in the time because the jobs were not available to us because of who we were. The only option was to go down to the dole office. You could actually get a one-way ticket from the dole office to go to England or Scotland. So many of us did that. The one episode I had, but when my mother said, go and get a ticket from the dole office to get you over to Liverpool and then down to London, And I said to the man in the dole office, I said, what if I don't like it over there? Can I have a return ticket? And he said, sorry, I wouldn't do return tickets for you lot. And that was it. So there was no option for us but to head off. And frankly, it's a good thing too, because once you get to places like London, it's a melting pot. There's no such thing as, I'm a Catholic or a Protestant, or what colour you are. And I worked in a number of global financial institutions. The word religion never, ever was mentioned. So it was a completely different lifestyle altogether. And in fact, my wife is actually South African-born Indian, and her family would be a mixture of Muslim and Hindu, although her parents are actually practicing Methodists. So it does actually broaden one's horizon. But, sad for the parents because they lose all their children. The parents die. The children feel guilty, they come back for the funerals, and the cycle just continues and continues. The book is available on Amazon. It's available locally in Top News in Georgia Street, and it's available in Watersons and in Easons both in Dublin and in Belfast.